Hey Ratbags, it's Jade. Last week I gave TINKERLANDS a go on stream at the end of a Core Keeper stream. And you know what? I had quite a bit of fun with it. It's an interesting little game and it does remind me a little bit of Core Keeper, but maybe a bit more slower paced, blending in elements of Terraria, Forager and Zelda. So I thought I'd give you a rundown today in a video format. There is a demo available on Steam right now that you can go and check out for yourself. And yeah, this might have the potential to be the next big Core Keeper-like slash game where you're crafting and exploring a 2D world. So I started off on an island, running around, gathering the usual resources and then basically doing quests. A huge amount of stuff opened up as soon as I got some wood. You can see all different recipes, so there is base building in it. It is going to be a co-op focused game, no release date as set just yet, but I would bet my house on it that this would eventually arrive to console, as it's published by Hype Train and they do generally bring a lot of their games to console as well. Anyhow, you can see I'm already flashing through even more recipes involving stone, got a sawmill, got a stone pickaxe and other weapons and tools. So. We got an interesting hotbar. It's in basically pairs of two, so you can use your left mouse or the right mouse to use either of the tools in there, or your left trigger, right trigger, as I was using the controller. And yeah, it does look like there's quests to follow, as well as maybe finding bigger bosses. What I instantly found was the amount of enemies in the game that would literally one-shot me. You can't go too far, really, unless you're going to get more gear, as it does seem to be quite a big amount of danger. If you're as old as heck as I am, you might remember the game Golden Axe, and the little goblins would drop loot out of their bags. Same sort of deal here. This guy I could not catch up to, and he was just dropping a ton of stuff. These doubloons are something we're going to be able to use to buy new gear from traders. So it's already getting night time. I was picking up new resources like this coral, and I picked up ability to make wooden armor by chopping down these proper logs. So hugely crafty. It's definitely one of them that's going to open up a ton of recipes. That's going to take forever for you to go and sift through and try and work out. Probably does need slowing down a little bit or introducing in a maybe better way. Eventually I did get bored of collecting certain resources. I went and attacked the first thing I could find, which was this runaway crab, which was pretty speedy. Bless little Mr. Krabby here. The woods are pretty thick as well. You can't really see certain creatures when they're inside, but I've got more shells and you get more doubloons when you kill enemies too. And I found this loot chest in an SOS sign. Looks to be, as well as the armor, lots of accessory slots to put things like a shield and other stuff to give you buffs and bonuses. You can see it's like 6 slots at least, and 3 different slots for ammo. Them traders I told you about, I came across this one guy, the merchant, and he had a bunch of different weapons to be sold. Copper weapons, and then we had ranged bow, minecart tracks I should say, and even more wooden arrows, as well as more iron tools and weapons. These were all pretty expensive, but it does look like this might be the way that you'd be able to get one of these weapons relatively early by building up enough doubloons. I'm guessing we'll be able to craft and make it ourselves eventually. And then we came to my first death. I went and caused trouble with, I'm guessing this was a goblin, although it's got horns on it, and it had a pretty powerful weapon. It was literally doing me with just 1 or 2 hits. So it might look cute and pixelated and cozy, but I think this game is going to slap in terms of difficulty. You can actually go through the water, it just slows you down, and there are other biomes that we'll see are pretty cool too. I ended up finding another chest full of loot, this time a lamp and some more resources. And then just minding my own business, another creature decided to attack me, looking a bit like a green monkey with a mask on. And again, it was only 2 or 3 hits from this guy before I was pretty much going to be dead. Food was good, but it wasn't replenishing my health quick enough, and I was gone. One thing I couldn't work out was, where is the stuff? Like, do you drop it? Do you lose it all when you die? Because I couldn't find any chests or any of my loot just sitting there where I went, where my body was. I did have everything that was in my hotbars though, so maybe I did actually have all the resources. I just didn't have as much as I thought I did. Came across a wooden house ruins, again with more chests and more just random bits of resources and loot. And of course there were some slime enemies. These were definitely on my level. I managed to kill this guy and get some mucus. So how big is the map? It's pretty large, but I can get across it relatively quick. I'm up here in the north, that looks to be where you start, and then as you go further south it gets tougher and tougher with all sorts of stuff going on, like a desert biome. On the map it tells you the quest that you should be doing or getting ready for as well, so there is a cold biome which I never managed to find. So it's pretty cool, lots of little places to go and explore, fairly simple premise and combat. If anyone ever remembers the game The Survivalist, that kind of came and went without anyone really paying much attention. But that was a similar game, but it had automation and monkeys that you could train to basically do all sorts of stuff, but it ended up just being overcomplicated. but I was getting a good vibe. It definitely felt a bit slower than Core Keeper though, moving around, but the enemies were just as tough as some of the creatures I've come across in that game. This one's definitely more about exploration rather than just digging and mining. Obviously having lots of open biomes and just being in the overworld. Could be argued it may be even more a bit like Don't Starve, but definitely not as complex as that game either. Now this loot was good. I got myself a bone sword. Typical sort of stats on it like melee, critical and knockback. So building up different types of classes or characters, it looks like that could be something. And there was actually ones that I wasn't using properly. I thought it was just a stick that I put down. Also managed to get myself another accessory, this boot, which obviously was going to increase my speed. Another slime to make myself feel good. I could actually kill creatures. The slime voodoo doll is important because guess what? There are slime boss variants in this game that will end up summoning and showing. Before long though, I'd already made it to the outskirts of the desert. This is where things start getting really interesting. There was some resources to get like copper, so go ahead and mine it. But as you start going deeper and deeper into the desert, your visibility becomes a lot worse. So I'm guessing you need proper protection, as it says, get proper clothing. Otherwise, yeah, I really like this idea. It really adds something to the game, having just something a bit different in terms of the environments being dangerous. Not being able to see pretty much anything around you and enemies could just pretty much take you out very quickly. Yeah, as you can see, I just about survived with my big new sword, which was doing a lot more damage. Eventually I got all the way, I think, to the bottom of the map, and I was in the ocean before the desert kind of fog lifted. So it still felt like it was looking like a large map, but in reality maybe not as big as I first thought. I took more notice of my guidebook, and it was basically saying that you can get these NPCs to come live with you. That's where the comparisons come a lot with Core Keeper and Terraria. I eventually made it back to lands, but in the wrong biome for sure. This was the swamp, or it seemed like it since there were leeches. And again, totally unprepared for this area. Everything was just one shot at me. So I'd learnt my lesson. Maybe I should just stick around the starting area a bit more and maybe try and build up a little base. So I set to work gathering lots more resources ready for when eventually we would start building a home. For now though, I had a saw table and the workbench, and opened up a ton more recipes for me to go ahead and craft, including furnaces, anvils, the usual kind of stuff, as well as unique weapons. I had like a boomerang here, which was pretty cool. I got the furnace placed down, and that meant I could go ahead and cook up my copper deposits. Although I would need a lot more, as I'd only gathered 3 pieces. Didn't seem to be too much going on in terms of skills, but there were definitely lots of tabs for crafting with loads of potions and more resources, weapons and gear. So yeah, it looks like you will be able to make some pretty nice homes if you're into base building and stuff. I remembered I had the slime voodoo doll, so I decided to go ahead and use it, and maybe predictable, it summoned this Slime King boss, which is pretty funny. 500 health. It definitely feels like this game is maybe being inspired a little bit too much like other games. Although slimes are pretty universal in everything from Japanese RPGs and comics to pretty much Western side of stuff too. I was definitely getting the Slime King kind of vibe from Core Keeper fighting this guy. My sword was doing a good amount of damage, but it would only take a few hits from this guy to pretty much wipe me out. He started summoning smaller minions as well, and this became a real problem. Although I was getting more doubloons, that looks like it is going to be a case of farming creatures and bosses to hope to get enough currency to go ahead and buy a lot of new gear as well as crafting. I'd crafted the boomerang, and it was pretty good for a mid-range weapon too. I was getting close to getting this guy down to his half health. It did take a while though. I was literally trying to beat him up, but there was so many more slimes, including these pink ones that seemed more dangerous, and then out of nowhere there was these golden ones too, and yeah, brown bread again. So sadly, when you die, it does look like the boss does despawn, as I couldn't find him back again. But I did find another NPC, so it does look like these NPCs are scattered all around the world, and you just simply have to make sure there's a home for them to come and live with you when you do find them. You craft all your walls up rather than use something like a hammer to go ahead and build using resources, so you have to craft like 12 walls and 15 floors and stuff. The floors looked a bit odd until you start putting them together, but then it actually made more sense, and it's got to be big enough room, so 9 by 9 or well 3 by 3 by 3. Eventually I did get a room built, and I thought this would be a good enough size, but it looked like it did need to be a bit bigger and also have proper flooring going all the way around, including under the wall foundations too. Eventually I realised it did really have to have 9 wall or floor squares inside with a proper doorway and everything else before I could then ask the guide to come and pretty much move in. So that in a nutshell is Tinkerlands, the start of it at least. What do you guys think? Would you like to see more of this? Show off more of the demo and obviously try and get a hold of a full game key and keep you guys up to date when it releases. I think it does kind of fit alongside my other content and it definitely interested me, but definitely want to hear what you guys say. So let me know in the comment section and I'll see you right back for more previews of crafting games as well as your favourites like Grounded Core Keeper very soon. Bye bye.